So I just watched Peacemaker Season 2, created by James Gunn. So for some backstory, I really like James Gunn, really like a lot of his works. I liked Season 1 of Peacemaker, and so I was excited not only to get more Peacemaker, but also just the fact that it's coming so soon after Superman is really cool. And now that I have seen the entire season, I have to say I really enjoyed this season overall. Honestly, I think it's better than the first. Peacemaker himself, I think, is still interesting. Like this whole storyline with the alternate realities give him like some interesting perspectives and like some interesting stories they do with him. And speaking of, I think the series uses this idea of the multiverse pretty well and these different realities. It was nice seeing another side of Peacemaker's father, the relationship with Peacemaker and his family, I thought was sweet, and like John Cena, Robert Patrick, and David Denman all did an amazing job in episode 7 in particular. They're all great there. Harcourt's story was interesting. Had like kind of an interesting setup, and I wanted to see what they were going to do with her. Some people I think are a bit split on the relationship between Peacemaker and Harcourt. Like, I didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of interesting, and I thought the scenes with the two of them were good. Vigilante, I thought was very enjoyable. I'm not sure if this was intentional, but it seemed to me like they were leaning a bit into implying he was on the autism spectrum, particularly with him spouting off the animal facts and seeming to have ADHD. And I thought the interactions with his mom were pretty funny, especially with how they don't explain why he doesn't like her so much. Tim Meadows, I thought, was a great addition to this series. Like, he's just the kind of actor who is able to fit James Gunn's writing amazingly. I'm like kind of shocked it took this long to get to get Tim Meadows in a James Gunn project, and he was one of my favorite characters as a result. Frank Grillo, I thought, did a good job as Rick Flag Senior. Like, I thought he was one of those villains that you do at least understand his motivation. Like, he goes too far, obviously, but you get where he's coming from. I will say they kind of lost the plot with him in episode 8. Like, without getting into spoilers, just he started, like, doing things and associating with people where it's like, I don't know what his deal is. Like, this seems pretty different from how he was at the start of the show. Michael Rooker in this was just so off his rocker that I absolutely loved him in this. And I do just love seeing Michael Rooker in any James Gunn project. In terms of any characters who I can kind of criticize, I thought the direction that they take Adebayo's character was a little weird. Like, I don't know, it just seemed a bit off from how her arc ended in season 1, where it seemed like she just kind of wanted to leave this whole life behind. But still, like, I thought that Danielle Brooks gave a good performance, especially in episode 8. One scene in particular, I thought she did a great job. And speaking of, I do not understand where a lot of the characters ended up at the end of the season. Like, without getting into spoilers, they all decide to kind of band together and do this one thing, and it's kind of like they don't explain very well what it is they're actually doing or how they got certain characters to kind of join their side. So I'm kind of like, what's gonna happen? What is even this? Like, they say they want to help people, but they don't explain how. So I'm just kind of like, maybe this will be explained later. I don't know. Just felt kind of weird. And it was also kind of weird, really quick, how they're kind of retroactively making Rick Flag Jr. look like a scumbag. Like, just they do mention some things that he's done in the past, like including right before the second Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn made, where it's like, okay, that they weren't really hinting at that, so that's kind of weird, but whatever. This show had great overall suspense. Like, it was a well executed slow burn. Like, they definitely let things simmer a lot, and I thought that was done good. I never knew where certain things were going, and I was always excited to see what would happen next in the next episode. I will say there was one twist that they revealed in episode 6 that I was able to predict beforehand, but it was still interesting to like see how it would get resolved. And like in episode 7, when they confront a certain character about something, like they brought this interesting perspective when I think everyone kind of thought, oh, it's just going to be this one certain way. But no, they did bring like an interesting perspective to this idea without getting, again, not spoiling. No spoilers. I will say the alternate universe subplot the storyline kind of got wrapped up sooner than I was expecting. Like it's technically open, like they could go back to it in like another season or another project, but as is, I was kind of like, oh, we're done with this already. Okay, that was kind of surprising. The comedy in this season feels funnier than in season one. Like in season one, it was funny, but there were definitely some jokes that felt kind of drawn out. Like, okay, they just keep going and going on this one point, and they definitely did that a lot less here. There were some particularly graphic moments, like in episode two, there was a scene that I would kind of describe as like a Dexter type sequence, but it was still fun because of thanks to James Gunn's signature style. And speaking of James Gunn, him and the other directors I thought did a good job. Like the action was good, and particularly I loved Eagly's fight scene in episode two and the building invasion in episode three. I thought those were really well directed and well executed. Pretty much all the song choices in this I thought were great. The songs fit the scenes, and there wasn't a bad song out of the entire soundtrack versus season one, where I thought there are a couple I'm not really into. There's one in episode eight that had lyrics where I'm kind of like, okay, this is like what? It's a bit on the nose, don't you think? But like, still, I did overall really like the songs, and even that song in episode eight had like good music accompanying it, so it had that going for it. I thought the score from Clint Mansell and Kevin Kiner were good. Like it did a good job at combining like some dramatic moments and the rock that you would expect from Peacemaker, like in season one. The only thing I will say is that there's one scene in episode two where the score just kind of sounds like they're banging two trash cans together. That's the one exception. The rest of the score I thought was really good. I hope it gets us like an album release soon. And I do love the ways that they like brought all of the Peacemaker characters into this new DC universe. I thought that the cameos from characters that we've already established in DC worked, and some cameos were definitely teasing at things to come in future DC movies. And this kind of comes to like the one thing in this season that really did kind of bother me, which I'm not going to spoil it, but it's still, I just kind of have to talk about it. The ending scene of of this season is extremely blatant teasing for the next Superman movie. Like they're already kind of teasing it. Yeah, we're kind of building up what's to come in the next Superman movie, but the last scene in this in particular was like the most blatant tease I had seen all season. And I'm kind of unsure about the possible direction the movie could take based on how this show ends. So, like, problem number one, this already is kind of falling into the same trap as the MCU, where you have to watch everything to understand what's going on. When James Gunn said these were all going to be mostly self contained, this is not self contained. You have to watch Peacemaker Season 2 to understand what's going to happen in the next Superman movie. And this is why things like earlier in the DC unit, in like the previous DC universe, like Shazam, where it felt so isolated from the larger DC universe that like you didn't have to watch all these other stuff to understand it, and it worked. And kids going into the next Superman are going to be confused because there's no way their parents are going to let them watch Peacemaker. So they're just going to be like, wait, what's going on? What's this? Who's this? And also, problem number two, if Peacemaker is in the next Superman movie, that's just gonna clash super hard. Because like, I don't want to see a PG-13 version of Peacemaker because that's not what's fun about this character. Like, it's kind of like when they did that PG-13 version of Deadpool. It's like just something feels off, even though it's technically the same general kind of humor. Just not what I go to this character for. But at the same time, I don't want the next Superman movie to be rated R. Like, I don't want David Cornsweat Superman to be in this rated R environment all of a sudden. Like, just what I'm saying, these styles would clash even though they're both made by the same person. And it's why you probably shouldn't try and bring these worlds together like this. Just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, still, despite the finale and that last scene in particular being somewhat off, I did still really enjoy this season overall, and it's an easy recommendation for any James Gunn fan. And I'm going to give Peacemaker Season 2 an A. And hopefully, future Peacemaker content will be satisfying wherever he ends up popping up. So those are my thoughts on Peacemaker Season 2. If you've seen it, be sure to let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to see more reviews like this in the future. And on that note, I will see you next time. Have a great day.